Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, viewers. Today we are going to discuss the current situation of Indo-China standoff, and we are not really going to focus on what happened and what were the operational implications, but the Indian political-military leadership. How have they handled it so far, and how we foresee the effect of leadership on future operations. In case you want to link up the background, I would suggest that you watch our previous videos where we have covered the background in detail, including the strategic environment and the operational aspects, as well as conduct of operations so far. Now, if you look at Indian leadership, it has two major tiers. You have a political tier, and then you have a military or intelligence tier, I would say. As far as political tier is concerned, it starts with the Prime Minister's office, which is headed by Mr. Modi. Then you have the Defense Ministry headed by Mr. Rajnath Singh, and then you have the military hierarchy. On the intelligence side, we have the Office of the National Security Advisor, which is Mr. Ajit Doval, followed by RAW and different intelligence agencies, and then it comes down to the military intelligence. Now, as far as the military leadership tier is concerned, start from the Chief of Defense Staff. It's a recently appointed office with General Bipin Rawat as the head of the Chief of Defense Staff office. And then you have three services chiefs. And in case of military or the army, you have the commands. In case of Ladakh, it's the Northern Command followed by 14 Corps, 3 Division, and the brigade which look after different sectors. And just to remind that there are four major sectors within Eastern Ladakh. Starting from northwest, you have the Daulat Beg Oldi. Then you have the Gogra, which is further southeast of Depsang Plain. You have the Galwan, where you had that famous fight where India lost a lot of officers and soldiers, and many were captured. And then you have Pangongso Lake area, north and south, and probably I think it's being now looked after by two different brigade commanders. So you have the northern Pangong Lake with the famous Fingers area, and then southern Pangong Lake where the current standoff has intensified. Briefly, about last 15 days, India claimed that they had done something, very aggressive south of Pangong Lake and captured a couple of, or improved their defensive posture, I would say, because political statement was that they were improving their own posture within their part of the line of actual control. And then, of course, there was Chinese reaction. So we had in Moscow talks between defense ministers, followed by very recent talks between the foreign ministers. And then there was a joint statement with emphasis on de-escalation. So that was the background. Just to summarize what has happened so far in the last 4 months, India has lost about 1,000 square kilometers of area, and this is not I am saying. This is quoted by their famous newspaper, The Hindu, and this is in different pockets. They've also suffered casualties in Galwan, where it is about 22 officers and soldiers killed. And then they claim that probably they had also inflicted casualties on the Chinese side, but that's a debatable question. Coming on to the leadership. Now, as far as the political leadership is concerned, it is supposed to provide guidance at political level and give the defense policy. Now, if you look at how India has handled China along the line of actual control, you find a lot of gaps, and I would say a failure and lack of will. One is a famous statement by Mr. Modi. I think that happened after Galwan in mid-June. कि ना कोई हमारी सीमा में घुस आया है, ना कोई घुसा हुआ है, और ना कोई हमारी पोस्ट किसी के कब्जे में है. And imagine that the Chinese have sorted them out, and he did not even mention the word China. So I would say that at national level, it's a policy or it's a strategy born out of fear. So when it comes to Pakistan, they have a lot of bravado, although they got a slap last year. But they have this macro image of Mr. Modi. But when contested by a slightly stronger power, everything goes down. Same is true for, I would say, Rajnath Singh. I call him Raj, not Singh, because I don't think so. He's very effective. He's been doing some, uh, photo shoots with the new induction of aircrafts with Nimbu and Nariel, and showing that probably this is going to work. Now, coming to the intelligence apparatus, because that's important, the Office of the National Security Advisor. It's not me. Basically, it's the Indian sane, and I would say some neutral defense analysts who are not belonging to the Godi media. They are saying that it was height of an intelligence failure. Now, if you look at Ajit Doval's office and RAW, and there are a number of other agencies that he controls, they have a lot of resources as far as threat warning is concerned, and also threat scenarios are concerned. I think their bread and butter is to inform the Indian political military leadership about the threat scenarios, even the intent of the other side, especially Pakistan and China, and then of course they advise in terms of reaction time. Now, as far as a national level intelligence agency is concerned, of the size of RAW, which have billions of dollars of budget, and they have their own satellites. I think they have their own strategic drones, and some part of the Indian Air Force also provide them the facility of surveillance. They utterly failed because for Northern Command, the Ladakh sector, or for the entire LAC, the formation commanders were supposed to get a warning time of at least 1 month. So Ra failed miserably in providing the intelligence regarding the Chinese buildup. And in case they could see the buildup, they could not translate it into intent. And then, of course, formation commander was left high and dry. We will stop it here as far as Doval's office and Ra's performance is concerned. They've already got a kick in Afghanistan, so it's going to be a series of failure as the things unfold. Now we come to the military intelligence. Every formation commander, including I think the top army commander, has its own intelligence apparatus. Like in case of Indian military, they have the military intelligence. Of course, it is beefed up by RAW, and then there are intelligence setups with the formation. And nowadays, you have a plethora of or an assortment of drones beefed up by the Indian Air Force. So I think you cannot absolve the formation commanders from the intelligence failure. Hypothetically speaking, Northern Command or the 14 Corps commander in Ladakh sector should have had a system to give him warning of at least a fortnight, that is the 2 weeks, so that he can build up his response. So here again, there is a total failure because if you look at mid-April and onwards, actually Indian military acknowledged very late, somewhere I think in May, the army chief said, there were some movements and it's not very serious, and they kept the poor Indians, bluffed and disinformed. Now we come to the operational failure. Now, as far as the formations in Ladakh are concerned, you have Northern Command, which basically looks after the Pakistan LOC, but also is responsible for the LAC in the north. They have 14 Corps, which was specially raised after, I think, searching conflict. And then it has its own formation. 3 Division is the one which is primarily facing China, and then it can be beefed up by reserve formation from Northern Command or from Central Command and other reserves available. Now, again, I'll point out an important factor of the TSR, which is slightly technical, but for a military mind, it will be easier to understand. And I'll try to explain it in simple words. These three things are very important, three factors. It is T for time, then you have S for space, and R for relative strength. To cut it short, if a commander of any level can react in time and occupy or reinforce a particular space so that it can achieve a relative strength ratio comparable or better than the enemy, so he has achieved a better TSR as far as he's concerned. And that is the bread and butter of any GOC, brigade commander or corps commander. So as far as any Indian Northern Command, 14 Corps and 3 Division going down to brigades concerned, they miserably failed as far as the TSR is concerned. And we know that it was generally discussed when we were youngsters that What does the GOC do? When he's given all the privileges and trained for about 30 years. And the answer was that he's supposed to launch a counterattack in time. That is the crux, that is his job. And same probably is for the corps commander and the army commander, and leads to counteroffensive or the repost. So, starting from battalion brigade commanders. Suppose there are four subsectors. As I mentioned, you had a brigade commander at Daulat Beg Oldi. You had a brigade commander, southeast of Depsang Plain, going up to Gogra. Then you had a brigade commander looking after the Galwan, and then you had probably a brigade commander looking after the Pangong So area, which I feel now probably has two sectors. What should have been a logical TSR matrix for these journeys? Any battalion or brigade commander worth his salt should have reacted. I will not say they should have launched a counterattack and killed Chinese, but put their forces in a position within 48 to 72 hours, giving maximum in mountain. Then comes the GOC, three division in this case, should have mounted in the response, anything plus of 72 hours to 1 week maximum. I would say, giving him all, and the fact that Chinese suddenly emerged in the mountains, he could have done it in 1 week. 14 Corps should have done it plus of 1 week to 14 days. And I think the Northern Command, the army, who claim that they have raised 17 strike corps in the mountains and supposed to go across into Oxides, and should have placed their reserves in time within, I think, more than a fortnight. So that's maximum, or maximum 1 month. Now, if you look at the events starting in mid-April, and now you have mid-April to May, June, July, August, and this is the fifth month, I think, starting. There is a complete paralysis of command as far as Indian operational and strategic forces are concerned. I will not really blame the Air Force, but as far as I know, they were also supposed to provide some surveillance capability. So, to cut it short, Indian political military leadership failed in intelligence collection and reading the intent of the Chinese, and they failed to provide the leadership needed and also leading from the front. Actually, they bluffed the entire Indian military and the poor 130 million, I would say 1300 million poor Indians, uh, in informing that something was coming up. Number two was the TSR matrix, utter failure, because starting from battalion brigade commanders right up to these command and army commanders, it was a complete paralysis, and they could not react in time. Actually, they had no will. And number three is, of course, the will. There has to be political and military will to fight. And in case China has, actually they say they have reclaimed 1,000 square kilometers in the current standoff. Indian army, if it was worth its salt, should have rolled it back by now. Last point is regarding Indo-Pakistan standoff in last February, which Pakistan called the Operation Swift Retort, where the PAF responded within 24 hours against Indian incursion and establishment of a new status quo, as they claimed, against a nuclear power. And within 24 hours, PAF shot down two of their aircraft, captured Mr. Abhinandan, paraded in Islamabad, and then sent him via Wagah. And Indian Army and Air Force did not respond after that. So I think Operation Swift Retort gave a lot of lessons to the Chinese, because Chinese are very deep people, and I think they read a lot regarding what is happening as far as their adversaries are concerned. And Swift Retort became, I think, one of the guidelines for the Chinese, that in case you slap the Indians on their face or punch them hard, they will not even squeak. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm sure we'll have more of these videos regularly coming up and keep you updated.